Tomato soup cake is a thing, so let's bake one together.
So I was on Facebook of all places when I came across this recipe card for tomato soup cake. Imagine my shock, but obviously I was also intrigued. And apparently this is like a great fall-autumn dessert that's supposed to be like a spice cake. So now I feel like the only course of action is to try it for myself, right?
Tomato soup cake is actually very easy to make and requires hardly any ingredients. All you really need is a can of condensed tomato soup, some basic pantry staples, and seasonings. I mixed the butter and sugar together until it was light and fluffy. Then I added the can of tomato soup and a slightly beaten egg. I mixed that all in really well, as good as I could. I sifted in the flour, baking soda, cinnamon, nutmeg, ground ginger, and ground cloves. I actually didn't have ground cloves though, so I just threw in some pumpkin pie seasoning. And I had used salted butter, so I just didn't include the salt. I mixed that all until smooth, and all that was left was to pour this into a 9x9 greased pan and bake at 350 for about half an hour, or until a toothpick came out clean. It ended up taking about 30 minutes for my oven. This cake has a boiled caramel frosting, which I hate working with or making caramel, so I was stressing. But yeah, to make that, I just dumped all those ingredients, which includes brown sugar, butter, milk, and salt, into a small saucepan and brought it to a boil while whisking constantly. After it boiled for a minute or so, I took it off the heat and kept whisking until the frosting thickened. I think this took 5 to 10 minutes of constant stirring, stressful stirring at that. I will say while the cake was raw, it did smell of tomato soup, but as it was baking, not so much. It basically just smelled like gingerbread, pumpkin bread, spice cake.
So this does not smell like tomato soup at all. It's hopefully not supposed to taste like tomato soup either, but I guess we'll find out soon enough. All right, cheers. It definitely is like a spice cake. And there's no hints of tomato soup. It's like a spice cake with a caramel roll topping. Like for real, this caramel icing is where it's at. I want to try just a bite of the cake itself real quick. I'm excited for my family to try this. I think I would even serve this at an event, although I feel like they would have to taste it first before I told them what was in it.
Overall, I think the tomato soup just helps this cake be really moist and maybe have a more robust flavor. So would you try this tomato soup cake?